Hey guys, what is going on today? Bojo here, back again for some more NHL 19 news, and in today's video we are going to be diving in deeply into all the changes and improvements that are made for NHL 19's franchise mode. So if you guys wouldn't mind, make sure to go down to that thumbs up button down below, make sure to hit it, subscribe if you guys are new and want to stay up to date with all the NHL 19 that comes out. This is the place to be, and also make sure to check out intotheam.com, use code BOJO for 10% off your entire order. So I know we've been waiting a couple of weeks since the beta ended for some more news on NHL 19, and we definitely got that today as a ton of new info on franchise mode came out today, along with a 16-minute video from Gern Sumal, who is the game modes producer of EA NHL. I'm not going to be going over the entire 16-minute video for you guys, but I'm definitely going to be taking some screenshots from that video for you guys and going over a bunch of the new improvements. So to start off, franchise mode in NHL 19 is deeply immersive thanks to scouting mechanics that fully assess players and provide insightful information. Assemble a team of up to 20 amateur and pro scouts and choose carefully as scouting affects drafting, trading, free agency, and waiver wire pickups this year. Great NHL teams are built through drafting and scouting, and in NHL 19 it's no different. Check out the video from NHL 19 game modes producer Gern Sumal for full details and learn how you can stock your team with talent as you look to clear the fog of war. So first off, we're going to be taking a look at that revamped scouting engine. Assemble a team of up to 20 amateur and pro scouts that specialize in different skills and regions. Scouts now have over 30 ratings that determine their ability to scout, with 2 areas of expertise known as evaluation abilities and region familiarity. Evaluation abilities assess skills such as shooting, skating ability, or a player's character, as well as ratings on the scout's efficiency and how adept they are at discovering prospects. Region familiarity will give you a sense of a particular scout's ability in certain parts of the world, while spending times in these regions can help scouts improve their ratings in different countries. Next up, we move to the innovative amateur scouting. Amateur scouting is more detailed too, featuring a central scouting rank for each prospect that can be compared against the information your team of scouts has collected. New reports provide insightful information about a prospect entering the NHL, including point totals from various junior leagues, player personality, potential, and strengths and weaknesses that compare them to a similar NHL player or alumni. The report also includes a skills assessment, scout rank, and information on a skater's playstyle, like a playmaker or two-way forward. Accuracy ratings add an element of risk and reward, as selecting a prospect based on a confident assessment from your scouts could be the difference in drafting an elite potential prospect. Your scouts will recommend which prospect gems to go after and who might be busts to avoid when drafting. And then finally, the fog of war. Fog of War is an exciting element that adds a layer of pro scouting to keep you engaged with teams around the league. When enabled, Fog of War will mask certain player attributes as the season progresses, which requires your pro scouts to be sent to watch teams and reveal updated info on the players you want to acquire through trades or free agency. Playing or simulating games against other teams is another way to clear the Fog of War, as it will help improve the accuracy of ratings for opposing players. Your scouts will then provide updated ratings with a level of accuracy to show you how confident they are in their evaluation, as well as a pro scout assessment which tells the user where an opposing player may fit into their lineup. A personality assessment will also be available from your scouts, which will give you an idea of how the player will affect the team morale and what kind of fit they'll be in the locker room. Before acquiring someone, you'll want to have your scouts clear the fog of war to see if a player's ratings have changed in any way. Alright guys, so let's start by diving into that 16-minute video by Gern and taking a look at some screenshots from that video of what you'll be able to do and see in the new franchise mode. So starting off, we're going to be looking at assigning those scouts, and through this screen you guys can see that he has 17 out of the 20 available scouts that you can send out to certain places. And as you'll see, each scout has a specific overall, a region that they are either going to be assigned to or that they specialize in, and the type of scout that they're going to be, whether they are a pro scouts, meaning that pro scouts are probably being sent out to the NHL or AHL teams, while the amateur scouts are searching up those prospects from all the other leagues. And as you guys will see, you also have a specific scouting salary assignment for these scouts. Like I said, you'll have to hire and fire these scouts depending on which best scouts you want to get. If you want to get those guys who are going to be the NHL or the amateur scouts, they have money associated with them, so you're going to have to find out which scouts are the best and hire them for your scouting team. So like I said with that blog post, all of these scouts are going to have specific specializations and skills for every single skater. Obviously, you can see with this guy, Jordan Toibert, he has like B's all across the board except for a B- in prospect discovery, but every single scout is going to have these abilities that rank their ability to scout a skater's puck skills, a goaltender's athletic categories, their character, team strengths, scouting efficiencies. All that kind of stuff is going to be available for you when looking at scouts and trying to determine which one is going to be the best for your team, as well as the region of familiarity that I mentioned, where they excel at in scouting certain prospects or different NHL players. Like I said, if you want to either improve your drafting class, or you looking to make a deal at the trade deadline or in free agency, you can assign these scouts to the regions that you think that they would be best. Like for instance, this guy Toibert, obviously at the top two you can see that he has contract years and what salary he's making. You can see that these scouts don't require a whole lot of money. Almost $0.15 million for a scout is not crazy at all. As you can see, they have him assigned to the SHL, which in this instance is pretty good because his SHL rank is a B-, but you could also send him out to, like, say, the NHL's Pacific Division because he has an A- in scouting for that region. So you could be able to send him out and maybe make a deal for an Pacific divisional team, like, say, the San Jose Sharks, and you maybe want to make a deal with them at the trade deadline for a player. You might want to send him out to do some scouting in order to unlock those players' overalls. And in addition to those scouts' specific abilities, you can now do that same thing with prospects as well for the upcoming draft. You can actually go out there and specifically scout a specific prospect's skills. So you can actually look at like potential and comparisons, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are. You can specifically scout his shooting or his defensive categories, all that kind of stuff. Any specific little individual thing you can think about for a prospect or a trade deadline acquisition, you can specifically scout skills, individual skills that you want to look for, which is insane to think about. And like the scouting like rank or whatever you want to search for it's crazy. Like it's a lot of different options that you have to choose from in order to scout a player's certain skills. The new draft class screen I think is really, really awesome. It shows you each individual team that all these players are going to be a part of. You don't have to go into their specific player cards to actually see what team they play for. You can actually see the team in the logo up at the top. Obviously all their height, weight, and specific information like that. But now you can also see all the new things like what their potential is, obviously what their type is, their central scouting rank, and their scouts rank, which is pretty amazing to me that now that there's two specific different rankings that you can look at. You can either go by your scouting rank, which is SC, which is how your scout views that where that player should be ranked, and then there's also the CS rank, which is the central scouting rank, like they do in the real life NHL, where they're coming up on the draft boards. As you guys know, if you watch the NHL draft, you can see during like the whole entire show that they have like central scouting ranked or best North American rank and things like that. They have that in the game now, which is pretty awesome. So you can either trust your scout in certain player rankings, or you can just go by the central scouting ranked and trust the game of where you think these prospects should go. Also note that all these scouting accuracies have now a legend associated with them, as you guys can see by the binoculars next to pretty much every single skill, ranking, or stat in this game. There's going to be binoculars next to them. The whiter the binoculars are, the more accurate they are. As you guys can see by that legend, each little thing also has like a little bar associated with it, where unknown has the binoculars like clearly all faded out and no rankings whatsoever on the little bars. And as you go up that legend, you get a little bar for very inaccurate, 2 for inaccurate, 3 for semi-accurate, and then you get a full 4 and a full white binoculars for that accurate rating. So the more white a player's stats are and the more white those binoculars are, the accurate they are going to be in assessing how good that player is, whether their potential or certain skills, their rankings, all that kind of stuff is going to be rated in some way in franchise mode. Now, taking a look at all these individual prospects as well, these scouting cards with deep reports is truly amazing. If you guys know in old franchise modes, whether you send a player back down to junior or you're trying to look at what a player did before ending up drafting him, what did he do in his like final year of the CHL, or what has he done for the past couple of years in the CHL? That is in the game now. All of these prospects have player stats associated with them of what they did in their final year of the CHL. So for Peyton Krebs, for instance, you see he played 41 games, 13 goals, 24 assists for that many points. It doesn't show points, which I find very, very weird. I feel like they should add points at least in there because they show goals, assists, penalty minutes, plus minus, and time on ice per game, which is interesting. But as you can see there, his central scouting ranking at number 3, his play style of a playmaker, scout rank number 5. Every single little individual stat you can look at on these players now with these new deep reports. And also they show their strengths and weaknesses, which also have ratings next to them as well. See guys, like every single thing in this game, like every single skill or every single like quality about these players are going to have the binoculars next to them. Everything has a rating of whether how accurate or inaccurate it is. So you can see that like this is the guy who I think is projected to go number 1 overall, and you can see his strengths: the 200-foot game, offensive creativity, and playmaking ability. But his weaknesses are teammate utilization and reach, and then they have all of his skills down below as well. For defense, physicality, skating, senses, puck skills, and shooting. So it's pretty crazy how in-depth franchise mode looks this year. And also, you have personality traits and similarity styles associated with these players as well. I'm pretty sure like these personalities are really going to be only for if you put morale on in franchise mode. And I know a lot of people don't really like to run morale in franchise mode because it kind of really like messes with the players overalls a good bit. But if you're a person who likes morale, this is going to be another good addition to the morale system, where every single player is going to have specific personalities about them. Also similarity styles, as they mentioned in the blog post, where they will be compared to either a certain NHL player or a certain NHL alumni, as well as their potentials, obviously giving accuracy traits along with them as well. And now mentioned with the blog posts as well, your scouts will be able to predict gems and busts in the draft. So for instance, this guy, Sami Hentunen, who plays for Rogel BK, I believe, in the, Rogel BK in the SHL. His central scouting ranking is 81. His scout ranks him as 93. But your scout, Teuber, who was sent out to specifically scout this guy, projects him as a bust, as you can see with the red diamond. I'm only assuming that red diamonds are going to be busts and green diamonds will definitely be pluses. And also you can see next to that the rankings of these players as well. Either red arrows going down, meaning that they have been dropping in the rankings since the last time you checked at them, or a green arrow up, ranking going up, meaning that they have improved in their rankings since the last time you looked at them. But I like that function really cool, rather than like being a random when you're in the draft if you're going to get like that steal in the 7th round or the 6th round or the 5th round, or you end up getting a bust type player like Nail Yakupov, for instance, in the 1st or the 2nd round. Now the game will actually tell you via your scout if the player could end up being a bust or a gem type player. And now we take a look at the new draft board. Extended watch list is definitely something people have wanted. You can now definitely add more than 5 or 7 players to your watch list, which I know a ton of people have wanted. You definitely have a good number of players you can now pin to your watch list and take a look at all of their stats as you go throughout the year. You now can look at projected picks as well. Now your scouts will actually recommend picks for you when the draft is upcoming. So you hover over your 2nd round pick in 2019 and your scout will give you recommendations of the type of players that you think your team should definitely go after as well. And they also has their central scouting ranking, their scout ranks, and movement. Is that MVT? Yeah, MVT, probably like movement if they've either been picked or haven't been picked, or maybe it's like an up or a down arrow via their ranking if they're sliding up or maybe sliding down in the draft. And also the game now includes a depth chart for you in this new draft board, taking a look at your entire team and rating them of your either strengths or your weaknesses among your team. So for instance, the Vancouver Canucks have weaknesses in their top 6, top 9, and top 12 forwards, but they have very good strength in depth forwards, top prospects, and forward prospects. Their overall rating is an E, But obviously you can take a look at your team either through forwards, defensemen, and goaltenders of what your strengths and weaknesses are of your team, so that when you go into the draft or you're looking at free agency or you're looking at a trade deadline deal, you can specifically target those weaknesses and improve the team in that certain area. Now, as I mentioned again in the Fog of War, which I think is a really cool feature that will be added to this year's game, you do have the option, Gurn said, to turn this feature either off or on, I believe. But I think it's a really cool feature to leave on, because it forces you to go out and scout not only the prospects, players in the draft, but obviously scout NHL players as well. For instance, in this example, he took a look at Brayden Point, and as you guys can see, his binocular rating is the 3rd one, so it's like semi-accurate, meaning that you really haven't checked up on Brayden Point at this time, meaning that you don't actually know if his potential is medium elite. You don't actually know if his overall is 87 overall or not. You have to specifically send your scouts out and take a look at him. Say if you wanted to acquire Brayden Point in a trade and you want to double check and make sure that he is an 87 overall and you want to add him to your team, that you have the scout go out there and specifically look at all of his stats and make sure that he is the type of player that you want to get. And this affects either young players as well as aging players. I think for the example that Gurn used in the video, he went out and got, I think, Jeff Carter at a trade deadline deal and noticed that he overpaid for the player when he really shouldn't have. If he would have sent his scout out and did some more scouting on Jeff Carter, you would have known that he is not as good as he was thought out to be, and he actually overpaid for him in a trade. So doing this scouting of these specific players as well will not only affect their stats, but it will also affect the trade values that goes along with these players, meaning that if you do more scouting on these players and figure out that they're not as good as they say they are, that might in turn lower the trade value of these players, so that you don't have to give up as much for him if you didn't know a lot about him. And then finally, at the end of the video as well, that there is still going to be the expansion option in this game, but you do have the option to create custom rosters and then use that 30-second expansion team with the custom roster that you created. I know my friend Tugi is going to be very excited about that, but I think that's pretty cool now that you can actually specifically either create players, create you know, certain like legends or college players or things like that, or even your own custom created players, or move players around to certain NHL teams like that. You will be able to use those custom rosters in an expansion draft for this year's game, so you don't have to worry about like moving player to player. You can just select the roster that you want to use, and you'll be able to do the expansion in this year. And I know a lot of people have also wondered about the legends in this game. Unfortunately, the legends will not be able to be used in franchise mode for this year's game, which is kind of unfortunate. So if you want to have the legends in franchise mode, you're going to have to create them yourself and put them onto the team. But the good thing is their stats will be in the game, so it should be pretty easy to do. But like I said, guys, a ton of information on franchise mode. It looks absolutely amazing this year. The in-depthness of the mode is pretty crazy. The fact that every little stat has value to it, whether it's his potential, whether it's his overall like personality, whether it's his like skating stats, defensive stats, everything you can see this year. It's pretty crazy. All the players have like their individual point totals from like juniors. It's pretty crazy how in-depthly you can go with scouting this year, and I know a bunch of people might be spending a ton of time on these like little scouting improvements and really going in depth on building a really great team from the ground up, using all these scouting tools to your advantage, and hopefully it'll pay off for you. And I just like that every single thing has individual value to it and accuracy ratings to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll leave the video link down below. Gurn probably does a ton of better explaining than I would have in this video, so the video link for that will be down into the description. Make sure you go check that out. But I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe as always. Leave down in the comment section down below what you guys are most excited about for franchise mode this year. It looks absolutely amazing. Other than that, I will catch you guys next time. Peace.